Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Brightworks. Today we're going to be taking a look at a game of Supreme Straits. I already noticed something interesting here before I can even get through my intro. We already have Marcus here, our blue team leader. Already has two commanders. Looks like a player has tapped out, or maybe they disconnected, or something happened and he hadn't joined at first, and so the blue player is going to be starting here with two Cortex commanders. Going to be a nice little eco boost. But anyway, just highlighting that real quick. Why don't we, I guess since we've already met our blue team leader in the northeast corner, why don't we meet our red team leader? We have Pierre, the red leader here, going to be spawning in the back position here, the rearward position. They're going to be going for a bot lab, probably going to be teching up or doing some sort of shenanigans. This is after the comm update has happened, so we're going to have to pay attention to how these technology jumps happen, because the commanders are worth a whole lot less. So there's a lot less metal to actually reclaim from those commander wreckages. Marcus doesn't have to deal with that, because of course he just has extra commanders. That'll be tremendously beneficial. It really does make a huge difference when you get to start with another player's commander here. You can see you get you get a huge boost in the income here. You get tons and tons of metal. But for the other, of course, it also means that you have tons of build power to start off with in the back line. And you get a whole other base's worth of economy. So Marcus is definitely going to be in a really, really key position here. We've got a construction bot out already. Starting up a construction turret. I think that's actually I think it's probably a pretty good idea. Trying to do the mental math on how much build power we have here. 90 plus two, it's still 200, right? I was playing with a mod the other day that increased build power, so I'm a little shaken up on the numbers. 300 build power, okay, 300 build power and 90 build power, plus another 200 on top of that. Should give us plenty here. We are stalling on energy, but with this commander back here, we are going to have access to this geothermal plant, or with this base back here, I guess I should say. Not super thrilled to see how many of these T1 solar panels are being queued up right now. That's a little bit worrying, I'm not going to lie. But hopefully things turn out alright. We've already got some T1 medium tanks out and about on the field. That is very nice. Now, King Pooba has done an excellent job of pushing up to the front. Hilarious name. Really love that. And they're going to start eating up all of these ferns and stones, which are filled to the brim with energy and metal. Very neat stuff. Very cool to see. And we've got some hovercraft out. This is a build that I really like, coming out of Sir Spectre. We've got the hovercraft plant in the back here to create some early game hovercraft. You send these across and you can harass to death your opposed player over here, especially since Stepaxa has not built any light laser turrets in the back line. This could definitely do quite a lot of damage. We'll keep our eye over here. Just taking a look up north, but it looks like there's no action, so we get to take some time to look around down south. The Seekers are moving in. The Seekers can be quite devastating. They're a really, really powerful early game unit. They fire that a little laser blast, very similar to a tick, but they're much, much more, I guess you would say, versatile. They can, of course, they can travel over water, but they're also a little bit faster on land. Actually, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure how much faster they are. Their range, reload, speed. Speed is 114. Versus a tick, so I'm sure we can find here. Getting a lot of damage in the backline. 3 metal extractors down, 2 solar panels so far, and we'll probably see these gone as well. Let's go find a tick to take a look at here. Surely there's one out and about somewhere. Wow, no, all Cortex players over here. Tick here, speed of 132. So these are not faster than a tick. They're just barely slower than a tick by less than 20 speed, I guess. So aside from that, they do pretty good amount of damage. See that little laser blast is very nice. Getting a little bit of energy production here, also very nice. And yeah, I mean, for the minuscule cost of 85 metal, these things definitely can do a lot of work. And certainly we're seeing it here. We've taken down a tidal generator and all of this land-based economy, and this has already been down long enough that it's paid for the amount of metal that was sacrificed by those Seekers dying on the front lines. It's going to give Sir Spectre the excellent opportunity that they need in order to push out here, plop a vehicle bay, or a navy bay down here. A shipyard, that's what those are called. I've been reading a lot of science fiction recently. I mean, that's basically all I read. But every space book calls the big galactic spaceship cruiser factory yards shipyards as well. So I tend to, now that it's like ingrained in my mind, when I think of a shipyard, I think of Think of spaceships, not Navy. Yeah, I was definitely not a ROTC cadet at my high school. Tanks on the front line here. We do have an aggravator coming up. Agitator. I always get that wrong. Agitator up here on the front line. That'll be really nice for driving back this enemy force. King Puba had the same idea, but it looks like Marcus Sidious with the superior economy here is going to get theirs up first. 10 seconds left on that one. Ooh, it's actually a pretty close race here. Certainly both of them are going to come online. Almost, wow, almost at the exact same time. King Puba did win the race, though, by just a fraction of a second here. Yeah, the artillery is now launching away, shelling away to devastating effect back here. Going to be very, very nice for denying some of this front line and constantly keeping it under fire. It's going to be really, really important. It's going to push it all back. For the time being, though, King Puba doing a phenomenal job of making sure that this front line is absolutely rock solid. We want to make sure that there's no way that they can push in here. If we can keep this metal extractor, that would be nice, but it's going to be tricky with this agitator this close. Now, Sovereign is... Sovereign. Yeah, it's like sovereign, but with an ing on it. Sovereign. Sovereign, you're going for that, that vehicle lab and bot lab combo starter pack that we've been seeing more and more here. And I really like it. I think it's a really good build. We are going pretty heavy into the T1 Solar. I'd rather just see a whole bunch of wind spammed out back here, maybe. Also really heavy on the metal storage. I'm not sure why that's so necessary here. In the energy storage. Okay. Yeah, we're building way too much storage here. We could definitely have a lot more units out on the field if we didn't have as much storage, but it's not as atrocious as we've seen sometimes here and there. Very nice. Sending the hovercraft across. Sir Spectre, you've been studying up, good sir. Very, very nice. Well done. We've got a Navy, a hovercraft Navy combined arms force here. These light missile corvettes are pretty good against these Seekers, but the Dolphins are going to outpace them. The submarine is the direct counter to these Dolphins, 100% efficiency as far as that trade is concerned, but it does have to hit its shots, and so as long as these Dolphins are microed, you know, any amount, they should be much more survivable. Ooh, that was a really good torpedo hit there. I think they took out 2 Seekers and a Dolphin with a single torpedo. We got to get these things out of the firing range of these submarines here. Oh, I guess it's a submarine. It looked like more because of the metal extractor down here, but that's actually just a metal extractor, not a submarine, not a devastation vehicle. More and more of these light missile carriers, but Sir Spectre is doing an excellent job of keeping this gin in the bottle, so to speak, and that is absolutely what you're looking to do here. Submarine is difficult. We would love to see some resurrection submarines brought over here to either put these units back into action or just eat up all that delicious metal off the seafloor. Actually, a hovercraft would be really huge, considering that we're going for submarines almost entirely here. I mean, our unit composition is 1 gunboat and 1 submarine. Hovercraft would be great, because of course the submarine cannot shoot at hovercraft. You can if they're right next to a boat, as we've seen, but it won't do it normally here. And we can see that Lunar Fire has actually sent an aircraft across here to capture these points. So that is very nicely done. It does make me curious about what the backline is looking like. We did just see a T2 handed off. Very, very nicely done. We might have seen more here or there and just missed them. But yeah, it looks like more or less everyone is just teching up for the red team in the backline. Oh. Well, my sincerest apologies, folks. I missed it. This does look familiar, doesn't it? I wonder if Lunar Fire has potentially seen the channel. Yeah, I mean, I guess that just goes to show how easy it is to miss this going up in your back line. We've actually added a radar jammer, which is quite nice, to this this little shenaniganery here. And the thugs are spotted. Titan is going to have to respond here, as well as Happy Wah. I think it's an orc reference, a Warhammer 40k orc reference, the mighty Wog. Although these thugs are the ones doing the wogging at the moment. As all of this backline gets completely devastated by these yellow thugs, yeah. They show up in the least convenient place for some thugs to be, and that is right at your economy center. It's an excellent D-gun. We are lining up the D-guns very nicely. Laser turret's going to come online here. D-gun 2 more of those. Cost of our own laser turret. This base, however, is completely melted down here. No defenses, no more units, nothing. We do have the T2 factory out, so maybe we could have seen a Fiend pumped out or something like that in order to do a little bit of damage here, but unfortunately, we did not, and so this base is completely ruined. Happy Wah is almost entirely wiped out of the game. A single metal extractor to their name, as this push has been extremely successful back here. We're going to continue making units. You know what I'd love to see folded into this push here? 2 resbots. One for this side and one for this side. I think if you fold in 2 resbots, this wins the game right away. Because think about how much metal is over here if we just zoom in and use our handy little tool here. Whoa, something interesting is going on there. Oh, it's showing the metal. Okay, interesting. Yeah, there we go. I was wondering why. Just needs a second to think. Got to do a lot of calculations here. 2,500 metal right there, just lying on the ground in destroyed enemy production. T2 factory goes down. That sucks because that is so expensive. Oh, we're building a gauntlet. That is not the right maneuver here. Definitely go for some beamers, maybe a warden if you're really desperate for it. Or just get your commander in there. Go D-gun those sons of guns. It's a lot of metal in down solar panels. Again, yeah, a single resbot would do phenomenally to pick up the mess here and fold it back into this team. The base from yellow was destroyed by the commander over here, Kinetic, who has lost all their APM, and so at the moment is stalling on finishing out that the facility. But yeah, eyes back here. How good is our crisis management? Well, the backline was not able to deal with this, but luckily the dirt green player had some tanks on the field that they could spare, and so they brought him out. However, we have not finished. We have not dealt with the actual cheese yet. The cheese is still up and running, and fairly effectively in any case. Not even sure what I'm trying to say anymore. I just don't even have the words. This cheese has become really powerful. I wonder if this is going to be a staple. Let me know down below how you guys feel. Have you guys been encountering this a whole lot? Has I believe was it Fatal Baguette that showed us that other one? Whoever showed us this cheese the other day, they might have started something atrocious. Yeah. More thugs walking down the hill here. There is a lot of tanks. The thugs can get a nice surround on them, though. Oh, the tanks can get a nice surround, too. Yeah, look at that. They've actually got a really nice concave as these thugs are forced to walk single file down the rows here. And yeah, all those thugs get melted apart. Yep, couple resbots in this army, and you have a essentially infinitely sustainable push here. So I'd really like to see that. We're going to take our eyes off the front line here because I do notice that there are some hounds out and about, which are going to be really important for making this front line a whole more sustainable. Wow. Marcus City is bringing forward both the commanders. We got both the commanders working on a fusion reactor here. We don't have the metal for it, but I'll tell you where we could find it. Inside of these commanders. 1,000... What did they change it to? 1,250? Is that how much is inside a commander now? I think that's the right number. But that would be 2,500 if my math is correct, if we blew up both of these commanders and ate them up. And that would probably finish up this fusion reactor for us. This is quite a, well, interesting place for a fusion reactor, but I guess we didn't want to send the T2 constructor bot all the way back home. So we'll just build it on the front line. We already have a bulwark out, and that should be more than enough to discourage anything from pushing in here too far. These hounds are already within range of the main cannon here. We just don't have radar vision because of this jammer. So as soon as we get line of sight, this bulwark is going to be eager to lay down some laser fire. There it goes. Firing into that crowd of grunts, absolutely devastating them. Impressively, Stepaxa, I want to say Stapaxa. Stepaxa has rebuilt themselves quite nicely here. We do have some destroyers, some assault frigates, gunboats, and missile corvettes, as well as a small contingent of submarines. Basically everything in the book. In fact, I think literally everything in the book, except for some resurrection subs, which are actually really crucial here. So I think that would be the last step to make this a excellent T1 Navy. Now this is phenomenal. We also have a bunch of destroyers in this army. 3 destroyers does beat 1 destroyer in a straight up fight. Of course, this isn't a straight up fight. This is definitely going to be a prolonged engagement here, but we do have more destroyers constantly coming out here. Really nice to see. Are we upping our economy? No, we did not get a T2 constructor because our backline was ravaged by a bunch of thugs. This push is still continuing, by the way. Yeah, Lunar Fire just committing to continuing the aggression over here. which is insane that we, yeah, that the Titan isn't going to go deal with this. We absolutely need to walk the commander up here and just go blow all this up. At the least, anyway. Get some aircraft out. Somebody has to deal with that. It is quickly becoming extremely costly for this back line here. Although this aggression is not super extensive, this is just thugs pushing forward and taking away APM from Titan. There's still an entire player's worth of economy that isn't growing. Meanwhile, the players over here are focusing entirely on growing their economies. Although I'd love to see these labs reclaimed if we're going to go for the advanced fusion reactor. But anyway, yeah, we're just focusing on economy back here. So the economies are scaling here, but they are not scaling here, not at all. So this is becoming a huge problem. A bunch of bombers are out, but no scout, so they don't know exactly what they're aiming for. They've got a rough idea, though. Rough enough, anyway. There's an AT-air back here, but those bombers are pretty tough, and they can definitely take a few hits. And so they will drop their payloads right on top of the factory. Not a bad idea, I think. Try and just get the factory down. Oh, but those bombers do turn around. Excuse me, those bombers do turn around within the aerial range, or within the anti-air range, I should say. And this SAM battery shoots them down right out of the sky. I didn't see that SAM battery at first. That actually discourages those bombers quite heavily. Let me turn off the resource view here. Oh, except that we can see there's 5,500 metal lying on the floor right here. That is really nice. Anyways, I hear naval battles, and that's always something to turn my head. Yep, we got submarines trying to keep up with destroyers, but this is exactly how you kite against submarines, by the way, is you just run in front of, or you run behind them, try and get behind them, or force them to constantly turn, because they can only fire forwards. That's a little pro tip for you. If you got destroyers and you need to kite against submarines, just spread them out, nice big wall, and then move them in and move them past. Charge right past, and eventually you will overtake them, and they won't have any choice but to turn around and try and fire at you, at which point you will already have done so much damage. Loads of assault frigates here. This is a destroyer. You can see the destroyer and the assault frigate look similar, but the destroyer has two massive barrels. The assault frigate only has, well, the assault frigate has three, but they're much smaller. Size over length. You tell me down in the comments. No, maybe that's a bad idea. Maybe I don't want YouTube hearing that. Tons of Gauss fire over here. These plasma guns, barrage cannons are extremely devastating, and the lead swings heavily into Sir Spectre's hand here. Very nicely done. This is what I mean when I say that the naval battles are temperamental. It takes one good engagement to completely swing the naval tide. No pun intended. With this one engagement, now the army is, I mean, just gargantuanly bigger for the blue player than it will ever be again, or ever should be anyways, for the brown player here. So this was very nicely done. Very, very good work. Of course, this Northern Sea was conceded in order for a Lunar Fire to continue this aggression over here, which is still happening. Oh my goodness. We're just not going to deal with it. We're just going to continue to let this happen. At this point, go to T2. Like, just get those T2 units out. You got 4,000 metal. You got the energy. Yeah, build that T2 lab. I would love to see that. Do we have a T... Oh, here it is. Yeah, build a T2 lab. Is there room back here? That might be a problem. Yeah, there's plenty of places. Yeah, get that T2 lab up. I think that would be phenomenal. As bad as thugs are in the back line, I promise you fiends are a whole lot worse. Tactical nuke launcher, and we caught it just in time. Look at that. My timing is getting better and better every day. As we watch all those units evaporate in thermonuclear fire. This agitator, down to 2% health, wondering where all of his friends just went. Blinded for a second before realizing that, suddenly everyone they knew and loved has been eviscerated, reduced to ashes. Wow, somehow we did not contest this sea over here. What are we stalling on, per se? Oh, we teched up here, so we are just leaking a ton of units, though. Are we teching up back here? No? Okay, interesting. We're just, we're leaking a lot of metal at the moment, and I would love to see a T2 economy start up, or some paladins. That works just as well. Yeah, just keep getting units out on the field. Make sure you're not wasting metal. That's going to be absolutely tremendous. This front line has been broken. These Tiger tanks, ooh, they're devastating. They're pushing forward. They catch a couple of hounds, actually, within their firing range. There's a Quaker over here as well. Not the type of person though, or that is that a religion actually? Maybe someone can tell me down below. I'm not sure what that is actually, like, you know, technically speaking. But this is just an artillery piece. A Quaker make the ground shaker. That's all hyphenated, by the way. You can figure that out down in the comments. But these Tiger tanks, man, they've ravaged this front line. All the defenses are destroyed here, and this front line has completely caved. So this is bizarre. We have a huge facility in the back line here that is doing tons of damage to the blue team. But we also have the blue team winning their engagement on the front line, so this is quite strange. Bit of an old one, isn't it? Is that going to be enough bombers to finally tear down this facility? It will be. The lab finally goes down. It's not like we can't build another one. We have the units, we have the facilities already here. I already think we should be going for T2, so I wouldn't mind if we take this opportunity to just get that T2 factory out and about. We produced a bunch of grunts in the last moments here, which is actually really nice. Those are going to be able to sneak past the front lines and do a lot of damage over here. Ooh, the T2 lab is almost back up and running for Happy Wah. Really nicely done by them, by the way, for sticking in this game, continuing the fight as well as they can. Really tough to do that sometimes. Ooh, yeah, the thugs catch the res bots. These are the very last res bots. Definitely don't want to lose these here. Tigers and Czars. Tigers and bears and Czars, oh my. Yeah, Czar can be really devastating against hounds. It's one of those really interesting counters where you wouldn't think about it as a counter, but it does technically have the range to fight these things. And it has the health to get in close to them. Now, snipers are really good against Czars, of course. They can outrange the Czar, and that's basically their entire job, is to burst down any big heavy units like Czars or those early T3 units, anything like that. T2 being used to continue to push this front line here. Paladins marching forwards with their little laser cannons and their depth charge launchers and their Gauss cannons and yada yada yada. Just one gun after another. Is there anything these can't do? Paladins truly the does-all, says-all unit of the Armada Navy. And finally, this production field is going to be wiped away here. Stepaks are going to be forced to retreat back to land, but it looks like the Salmon player has already been wiped away by a huge push of fiends here, incinerating through this base, blowing it all to Kingdom Come. The remaining ones are really scuffed up here, but I mean, you don't need many of them. You don't need any fiends at all in order to cause tremendous damage in the back line. Luckily, there's a light laser turret here, as well as the commander, and the fiend gets very easily distracted by the curvaceous form of the crossbow. And so it did not push any further in and cause any more devastating damage. T2 bombers coming out now. They get the fusion reactor. You got a lot of stuff back here, actually. Love to see him go for this anti-nuke. Yeah, very nicely done. One of the anti-nukes is down. There is another one here. They could definitely go for that, or they could just change up their tactics here. They're going to go for the aphids. Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. Of course that's the right decision. Go for the aphids. That's going to take away every single thing within a huge radius here, you can see. Basically everything is about to disappear. All the construction turrets, all that frontline defense, the bulwark, and its best friend, the smaller but more annoying agitator, do survive the nuclear blast. Commanders are pretty scratched up too. See just how tanky these things are. The fighters were barely denting it. Took a Eradicator in order to actually take that thing down. Absolutely brutal. Lunar Fire going to continue the aggression back here? Doesn't look like it. The constructor must have been killed, and so there's no way to continue fighting in this back line. So that was an interesting push, but I'm really surprised that it wasn't a game ender. We've got a row of Czars here to hold off the long-range fire. I wonder what the range is like on these. 650 versus a Dreadnought's 880. So certainly the Dreadnought could shell away from a long distance here, shooting at those Czars, getting eventually a positive value out on them. Interestingly, we do have a couple of torpedo launchers here guarding a single metal extractor. Paladins will be quick to take care of this, though. That being said, we can definitely outrange these. Oh, and our own longbow missiles landed on our own ships. Oh no. Oh, it's gonna happen again, isn't it? Oh, jeez. Okay, well, we just blew up our own ships. These torpedo launchers were worth their weight in gold. We even blew up our own crossbows. Oh, no. Those torpedo launchers were not supposed to get that much value. More fiends pushing forward. The next wave has approached. Always remember you can self-destruct these fiends if they happen to be low health, and it doesn't look like there's any other alternatives. Those fiends can do quite a bit of damage when they're self-destructed. They have a slightly larger explosion radius. They also do tons of AoE damage. You can see they fire past the enemy units and they do a ton of damage. Luckily they didn't hit these energy converters. Might have caused a nice little chain reaction there. Capital ship is out, escorted by an anti-nuke ship. Very nicely done. We're turtling up relatively hard over here. That's kind of interesting. Wonder if we were anticipating a push that just never came. I would love to see some amphibious units, either out of Sir Spectre or out of our northern blue player, Kinetic. Either of these players could go for those T2 amphibious bots. That would be really, really nice. By the way, we just see a bunch of artillery coming down over here from the capital ship, firing away at whatever it can find. Anything to its heart's desire that it can shoot away at. It would be a shame if these started killing these energy converters over here. Ooh, looks like we might hit them. We're not quite sure what we're firing at. The ship is just firing in all directions here. Luckily, we have the construction turrets here to mend all of this. Otherwise, this could have been really, really bad. Oh, if two of these land. Oh, there it goes. Oh, that hurts so bad. Yeah, the capital ship was just barely able to take that down, and it blew up all the energy converters, all of the build power. Suddenly, the entire production base for this player is ruined. Ooh, big fusion chain reactor there, too. Chain reactor. Guess that's what a fusion reactor is, right? Just a big chain reactor. Dragon trying to be a nuisance here, but there's actually a lot of anti-air. The capital ship has some anti-air, but also there's a bunch of Dragon Slayers in the background, helping to contribute a bunch of flak into the airspace that the Dragon inhabits. And that Tsar will go down on the front lines. A lot of Tsars on the front lines, actually. Very interesting. Oh, looks like the capital ship was sunk by these Dragons here. It cost them a lot. Down to 0% health. We have literally 65 health left. That's, it's not much. I got deleted before giving you. Sovereign? Yeah, we're probably talking about handing over T2 units here. Well done by Happy Wah, by the way, for keeping some units in the game, making sure that we're gonna continue the deployment here. Nuclear bomber comes in. It is sacrificed to take out a single SAM turret. Unfortunate. We might have been able to scout here and do a little bit more damage. Although I think we probably already had vision of that, so maybe targeting a cluster next time would be a little bit more effective. Relatively small nitpick, though. It's not a... I'm just saying you might as well take the time to be efficient dismantling that, since you know that it basically can't grow anymore. That's a lot of Tsars pushing forward here. Yeah, they're going to melt through any T1 tanks. Oh, we resurrected this advanced fusion reactor. That is really dangerous. We need to see a commander brought out to the front lines here to degun all these, otherwise this is going to be a huge problem. Spamming as many pings as we can to get these fiends to move, but instead they just move straight to hell as they get blown apart by these Tsars. Long-range plasma bombardment here. Using the constructor ships even to try and eat up these Tsars. The Archangels get a feast, and everything from Marcus Sidious blows up. They tap out of the game, and I cannot say that I'm surprised. They were clearly agitated with those frustrated pings. Yep. The Tsars went completely unaddressed here. The light laser turrets aren't quite going to cut it. And unfortunately for this purple player, that means that there's a huge standing army with tons of DPS available right at their front gate. Tsars will just crush through these light emplacements here, the Dragon's Teeth. It's like sandbags. It's like putting sandbags in front of an Abrams. It's just gonna continue moving, and it might feel a bump, might feel a jolt, but it's not really gonna think much of it. Commander is of course devastated here, and wow, there's suddenly a huge shift. This entire front line was caving for the red team, and now they're pushing the blue team completely back. Nobody has taken the blue player yet. That's a huge blunder. Definitely Mboer 4, the dark green player, should have taken for the blue. Or somebody do something, please. It's madness. Madness, I say. Look at all this AFK resource production here. Just being fed to the team, dispersed, not really used in any meaningful way. We don't have any sort of amphibious units for the blue team here. And that is quite unfortunate. Yeah, I'd definitely love to see a transition away from this T2 lab here. We are starting up the economy, which is, oh, well, we're thinking about starting up the economy. I'd love to see that continuing to expand here. Build those energy converters, build those naval fusion reactors, build it all. And eventually you're going to be a really nice spot. But yeah, we definitely need to switch into an amphibious lab here. Hovercraft lab would work too. Any of the amphibious stuff here. If we go to build and we just look, there's plenty of options. Amphibious, seaplane, hovercraft, all that stuff. But anyway, let's look back over here. Commander tried to jump on top of all this. Unfortunately, it retreated just before it managed to get on top of the snipers. It actually could have done a huge amount of damage, probably even stopped this entire push. But unfortunately, it did not. Now, luckily, there's a nuclear bomber out here, and it wasn't quite ready. Dove in before its missile was charged. Yeah, we can manually target these, and it'll do a lot better. Okay, well, it'll take 2 hits, but that should be fine. No, the snipers are still there. Oh, that's not good. This star is looking pretty low. It's on 1% health. I have a feeling it was shooting at itself. But it will get absolutely devastated by a bunch of nuclear bombers. Fighters continue to watch these sharpshooters that are just marching forward. It's pretty scary. Luckily we have another nuclear bomber, and eventually this will be taken care of. And yeah, we could really manually target these and just kill them in 1 hit. But oh well. Tons of resbots on the front line. Really, really nicely done by Pierre. Making sure to have that metal reclaim on hand. Super important. It's going to be really, really valuable. You can see the economy scale has been absolutely phenomenal back here. We have the T2 Air Lab. We are building a Juggernaut as we speak. And we are still continuing to scale up our advanced fusion reactor. And we can't even spend all of our metal because we don't even have enough build power. That's good problems. Good problems to have that much metal in your bank account. I'm really surprised. The blue team has basically won both seas. Well, yeah, they completely won both seas. And yet they're still being pushed in by the front lines of both players here. Absolutely tragic. Bunch of dragons trying to sneak past on the side here. Their fighters do find them, and a bunch of dragon slayers are whittling them down, but god, these things have so much health. You need a ludicrous amount of anti-air in order to stop dragons. Now it looks like most of them are going to die here. Certainly that one will, and this one probably as well, but one of these dragons is going to make it through. Do we have any airplanes at all? We do not. We aren't even starting them. Oh, come on, fighters. No. Those are gunships. Those are gunships. You don't want those. You want fighters. You want some fighters. We're building the wrong unit here. We're aiming for the high one, but we accidentally clicked the roughneck. Similar looking, I suppose, but the roughneck costs almost 3 times as much. A little less than 3 times as much, I suppose. And yeah, it cannot attack air. Fortunately, those ships will not be willing to fight this dragon here. Capital ship is harassing the orange player, which is pretty annoying. Dudulian. Wow, this dragon is just going to go unanswered, huh? Yeah, I mean, tearing apart this facility. These T1 fighters, look at them, they're Silver Star generals. Doing absolutely phenomenal work here. Yeah, they can only do a couple % per run, though, and then they have to realign themselves. Luckily, there was some light anti-air turrets to finish this one off, but it would have been really devastating if we had continued to produce a bunch of roughnecks and just couldn't do anything about it. Well, these units are just laying over here. Titan 82 might be still learning the game, might still be learning how to play air, and that's well and good. Love to see people experimenting here. Nuclear bombers could devastate this pack of hounds. We have the gunships out. They're actually doing nicely. There's no anti-air in this mix, so yeah, gunships are going to be quite phenomenal. Continued aggression on this side, continued siege, I guess you should say. There's a longbow here, raining down missiles, trying to snipe whatever it can. Looks like it picked off a metal extractor. Frankly, there's not a whole lot within range, although it could move over here and we could start firing on Stepaxa. Vanguards have been produced as a sort of a long-range artillery option. Put them up on this mountain and they can shoot for miles and miles. Bringing smiles and shooting for miles, they can rain siege from above like it's nobody's business. The Roughnecks are now focusing down this army of hounds, but it's going to take a while. Roughnecks not the most damage per second here. Definitely a very... we're sending in the fighters to kill the hounds, and the Roughnecks to kill the dragon. Oh, advanced fusion reactor goes up, and that does take out most of the hounds. More damage than the Roughnecks were able to do. Are we using the ones that were over here? Yes, luckily we are, so that is very nice. We also have nuclear bombers, though, so we could just wipe away all of these with a single hit. Don't forget about your units. They're powerful. Might as well use them. Quite a fortification over here. Ah, some marauders stepping into the water. Marauders in the waters. Wow. Guys, I'm a lyrical, satirical, empirical genius, I just want you to know. So much anti-air here. We are sick and tired of dragons. This much anti-air tells you that this player has been harassed. One dragon too many. Marauders cannot attack underwater. We are learning a valuable lesson here. Yeah. Yeah. We're learning good things here. We realize, okay. Can't attack underwater. Next best thing. Attack on land. That's exactly what you should do. Surprisingly, our land player is getting amphibious units out before the sea players. We do have an airplane facility up. That's nice, at the very least. We don't need another capital ship, though. Maybe some more longbows, maybe some anti-air ships, maybe an anti-nuke ship for a facility over here. But then we just need 2 Voyagers to build some construction turrets and a combat engineer or a construction submarine in order to build a underwater gantry facility. Walk 2 Titans up this shoreline here, you're going to be in a really, really nice spot. The Marauders are spotted. Some of these T2 submarines are starting to shoot at them, and for what it's worth, they scuffed them up decently, although it was really only one of them that they managed to scuff up here. Marauders aren't quite out of the water enough to shoot. Okay, now one of them is out, and it's going to start firing. These other ones are really hung up over here. That's unfortunate. That's hard to blame the player for that. That's really just a pathing issue, if anything. Yeah, just we just need to move these back and then around a little ways. But anyways, definitely going to be enough Marauders here to devastate the back lines. Although that being said, they are being picked apart because they're stuck on the water here. Very, very lucky for Kentic that the almost half of that army was stuck, trapped by their lab. Maybe it was a plan. Maybe they put that lab down and they said, no Marauder shall get past here. I'll trap them right in that zone where they can't quite shoot, but I can shoot them. I'm sure that was the idea. We are expanding our naval economy here, which is quite nice. Always love it to see players not getting complacent. I'd love to see these land-based economy centers built up, though. Some new and improved T2 metal extractors would be really nice to see. Hand out some T2 metal, or rather some T2 air constructors. We do have the T2 lab back here. That's one thing that I would really like. We also need some energy converters. We already have a fusion reactor and a bunch of advanced solars, as well as a bunch of wind here. Yeah, we definitely need some energy converters to get that energy turned into metal. For the time being, it's not a problem because that energy is just going to the team, which is going to be more than thrilled to use it. The shield wall holds. Looks like with 3 plasma batteries, you are going to be able to fend off a single ship's barrage. Turning its guns instead on the wall of Czars here, guarding the immediate shoreline anyway. Nicely done. We do have a Juggernaut out here in play as well. Probably handed out. Oh no, it wasn't. We have our own facility over here. Lunar Fire doing a good job of coming back into this game as well. And now the grunt spam is marching forward. Yeah, there's not actually any defenses over here. This is a very empty map. If we take a look at the map, it's very odd. We have the players under, or the seas rather, under firm control from 2 blue players. However, the middle of the map is completely exposed, no units whatsoever, and free to roam T1 units right down the middle of the map. When's the last time you've seen that? We're gonna speed this up here to watch these T1 little grunts run by here and start to run into this commander. This is a pretty odd interaction here. Marauders are following suit though, and those are going to be much better at breaking through this front line. Lunar Fire says, AA please, look here. This Juggernaut is actually being whittled down by these command ships. These flagships, that's the word, not a command ship. Light laser turrets are eventually built to stop the grunt push, but the Marauders come out on this side. Ooh, the Shiva does get a really nice hit off. Destroys one of them. Another one makes it in the back line, though. Oh, the missile. Luckily the missile didn't collide back there, and there was no chain reaction, but it was damn close. A Shiva can be really, really dangerous in your back line, whether it's friendly or foe. Looks like the capital ship went down over here, and the Juggernaut is nowhere to be found. Not sure where that Juggernaut went. Maybe it's self-destructed over here somewhere? I bet if I did this, I could find it. Maybe not. Maybe it retreated backwards or something, I'm not sure. Case of the missing Juggernaut. Either way, we have more and more units streaming through, and there's a very unhealthy looking, I almost said very healthy, but very unhealthy looking Juggernaut streaming into the backline here. Wall of Shiva marches forwards. The Shiva can probably take out this Juggernaut if they really try their hardest. They've got a lot to get through before they get over there, though. Mostly their own friendly fire. The laser weaponry isn't doing very much. But yeah, their own missiles and plasma shots are doing tremendous amounts of damage to themselves. Really dangerous stuff. Amphibious units yet? No, doesn't look like it. Yeah, no amphibious units. How sad to see. Razorbacks marching forward here. They do find a sand battery, and Razorback versus Shiva, the Razorback does win that fight. Although they look similar in stature, the Razorback is much, much stronger. It's reflected in the price, of course. I mean, Shiva are 1,550, the Razorback is 3,800, which is absolutely huge. Love these engagements between these T3 units. Very cinematic. The hidden Juggernaut crouching Krogoth. I'm gonna get a screenshot of that, actually. I want to save that for posterity. Dragons break into the front lines. A tale as old as time. Yeah, these dragons are as bad as it gets here. Tick's running forward as well. Sure to be a nuisance. The grunts, why not? I'm at a loss for words. This is a really odd game. The front lines have completely evaporated ages ago. The navies have still been completely contested. They've had no way of winning back the navies here. Now the backline is crumbling, and so the last bastions of blue technology, the last blue centers of hope, will be in the navy. But can you win this game from purely navy? I mean, certainly it's super advantageous to have the naval control, but is it advantageous enough? Especially against this many Razorbacks. I don't know if there's any unit in the game that's going to beat this many Razorbacks. Certainly not anything shy of that many Razorbacks itself. These Razorbacks are grouped up, giving these Shiva a nice little engagement. Sorry I cut away, I just assumed it was pretty obvious, but this base has been completely eradicated off the face of the map. This one will not be much long to follow here. I mean, yeah, barely any anti-air defense. The grunts are just walking in. If T1 has made it into your base, you know things are desperately wrong. There's the anti-air. This dragon flies over to the left here and gets melted down by a whole bunch of these light anti-air turrets. No anti-air over here, though. One of these fusions goes down. Yeah, the blue team decides to tap out eventually at the end here. Really nicely done by the red team. I really thought they were gonna cave there, but luckily for them, they did hold, even when their front line collapsed. Managed to counterattack with those snipers and those Zars and push back the blue menace. I think that fusion reactor up on the front lines was really devastating. Kind of completely crippled the blue player here. And red team was able to snag back a victory. The blue team clutching defeat from the jaws of victory. That's really, really interesting match. Somebody pointed out that this is just a metal used chart. I never realized that. These are just like, that's not a general chart. It's just metal used. I'm not sure how interested you guys are in me flicking through these. I think the metal used is actually a really good general chart as it is. But anyway, thanks a ton for watching. I hope to see you in the next video. I hope you'll consider subscribing, liking, all that good stuff. And I will see you in the next one.